Welcome everybody to a new My Hero Academia video. And guys, I have the AIZAWA guide that I've been promising you. I'm sorry it took so long, but it's here. Finally, it looks so pretty. I'm so proud of it. There's a few new things for you to check out. I also updated the Endeavor and Tokoyami guides, so if you want to go check those out too. They're all in the same document. I'm going to leave, of course, the link in the description as usual, so you can go check them out. And yeah, so before we begin, I just wanted to thank you guys for 100 subscribers. I know we're a little bit over it now, and I think I'm like we're like 114, 115, something like that. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you all so much for that. And yeah, let's just get into the guide right away. And yeah, so guys, AIZAWA. Oh my god, AIZAWA. AIZAWA is... what can we even call him? He's a jack of all trades. He can do absolutely everything. Everything. If there's any single ability in this game that you know about, AIZAWA has it. And he can do it. Like, he is a ridiculous character. Ridiculous, guys. Like, he can do whatever, to the point, guys, that I think, you know, if we get like Dabi or some other character tomorrow, you know, like, I believe that the devs are just going to update AIZAWA so that he has the new abilities introduced with that new character. Like, that's how ridiculous, that's how insane AIZAWA is. He can do everything and anything that any other character can do, except maybe float in the air. I think that's the only thing that he can do. like Uraraka. Like, dude, oh my god, he can do so many things. It's ridiculous. It's such a high skill champion. Insane. I love this character. I play him so much. You guys know I love to play PvP. I play him on PvP so much. Not like that rat you know, way of playing like that everybody hates, you know, like throwing caltrops on the floor and then just waiting for the enemy just to step on them until they bleed to death. No, I don't play like that. I promise I don't play like that. But let's just jump into the guide, guys. So this time I wanted to do something a little bit different. We're gonna start with the abilities, because I do think that in this case that AIZAWA's abilities do get a little bit complex. So I think it's better if we have a solid understanding of what he does before we jump into anything else. So with that said, let's just start with his Q, okay? His Q is combat style. And basically his Q makes it so that he has 3 different stances that he can switch between, right? And the first one is going to be sneak, okay? With sneak is basically the stance that you start the game with, and also the stance that you switch after Q3. Those are the 2 ways that you can get to sneak, basically, just starting the game and also hard swapping after Q3. That's how you get to sneak. And sneak basically makes you invisible for 1 second every 3 seconds, right? And also you can teleport behind your enemy whenever you use your W, your E, or you auto attack. You teleport behind your enemy. You teleport. This is exactly like Midoriya, right? I'm gonna be comparing him to basically every other character in the game, because like I said, he can do like what every other character in the game can do. He can do it. So he teleports behind their enemy like Midoriya does. Midoriya doesn't teleport behind, but you know, you get the gist. And also as soon as you use an ability or you auto attack when he's in sneak mode, he will switch to Q2. Q2 is called counter, okay? Counter, it does exactly what the name says. If you get attacked in counter, you will dodge and you will have 2 seconds to counter attack. How do you do that? Your auto attack button will glow when you can do that. You will also become invincible as soon as you press the glowing button and you start attacking. I think he becomes invisible when after he dodges or something like that. I don't know. He has so many mechanics. I couldn't cram everything into the guide because this would just be bigger than a Bible. But this is basically what you need to know. This is the core of what you need to know, okay? If you get attacked in Q2 in counter, you will dodge automatically. You don't need to do anything to dodge. What you do need to do is press the glowing auto attack button so that you counter attack. basically exactly like your dodge button, exactly the same way, right? Except that with your dodge button, you actually have to press the dodge button, and in counter stance, you just dodge automatically. Okay. So yeah, that's basically it. You dodge automatically, and then you press the auto attack, and you counter attack exactly the same way as with a perfect dodge. Then we have Q3. So a way that we're gonna cover this in a second, but a way that you can switch from Q2 to Q3 is by using your melee form E. But we'll get to that later. Don't worry about it now. For now, Q3 ambush. So ambush is going to be the most damage that you can do, and the reason, like, this is the stance where you deal the most damage, and the reason why is because you go from a 3 auto attack combo to a 6 auto attack combo. Okay, so his auto attack animations change, and he does a much longer one. Okay, also he applies bleed because he has bleed, kind of like Sue has poisoning. He has bleed. And so he has bleed, and he applies bleed on the 3rd and 5th hit on when he's doing his auto attack combo on Q3 on ambush. Okay, and also he gains super armor after the 3rd hit, which means that he cannot be interrupted. No matter what happens in the game, he cannot be interrupted once he hits for the 3rd time. Okay, so that's pretty much it for his Q. There are different ways for you to switch between them, but you know, one fail-safe way to do that, if you definitely want to switch no matter what at whatever time you want to, you press Q and you can switch stances. But as we are about to see, there are many ways in which you can switch stances. One of them is, like I said before, right, when you're in sneak and you auto attack or use an ability, you automatically switch to Q2. Okay, so let's jump to his W now. All right, now for his W and his E, you're going to notice that he has 2 of each, and the way that you switch between them, it basically depends on how close or how far away you are from your enemy, and you'll just switch between ranged mode and melee mode, right? And you'll have different abilities depending on that. Okay, I can't really tell you exactly like with numbers how close or how far you need to be from your enemy. You'll just get the gist of it while you play, you know, just practice and you'll understand. So yeah, that's basically what I can tell you. So for his ranged W, it's called caltrops. Everybody knows about this. Basically what he does is he throws some caltrops on the floor, and then if the enemy steps on them, then the enemy gets bleed, a stack of bleed for each one that they step on, and also they get slowed. Okay, bleed basically inflicts 5% of your damage to the enemy. I don't remember if it was every half second or every second, something like that, but for 10 seconds, and it can stack up to 10 times. So that's a lot. That's a lot. Remember that there are many ways in which you can actually inflict bleed. We're gonna see this later, but there are many ways that you can inflict bleed on your enemy. But caltrops is one of them. It also does a lot more damage than the other form of your W, taijutsu. So you know, caltrops, you're gonna want to use that. Okay, it's a very strategic kind of ability, right? You wanna use it to keep your opponents at bay when you're playing on PvP. You know, you want to use it in a strategic point when, you know, when there are bosses that kind of like, you know, like forearms for example, that likes to run at you, so you can put the caltrops down and then like force it to step over the caltrops, you know, stuff like that, or the motorcycle guy, stuff like that, right? So it's a very strategic kind of ability. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about caltrops. And then we have taijutsu. Taijutsu is the melee mode for W, and it's a 3 combo attack, and it's basically just an extender. There's not much to it. It's just an extender. You can use it in the middle, or at the end of, or just right out of nowhere. You can use it. Or you can use it out of the middle. I'm getting mixed up. I'm so sorry. You can use it in the middle or at the end of your auto attack combos. Right? Doesn't matter on which Q you are. If you're on Q2 or Q3, it doesn't matter. You can just use it in the middle of your auto attack combo, or you can just outright use it when you're in front of your enemy and you're not comboing or anything like that. You just use it to open an attack. It's pretty effective too, and you just extend your attacks basically, because you guys know that if you do a full auto attack combo, on an enemy, then you know, once the combo is done, then your character kind of just stands there for a little bit, and then like it takes him 1, 2, 3 seconds before they start attacking again. So with this, basically using this, you kind of, you know, cover for those 2-3 seconds until you can start auto attacking again, basically, you know what I mean? All right, and now we are on the E. Okay, this is a complicated one. Okay, this is a tricky one. This is like the third time that I record this, because if you, well, I record the guides. I just record them in pieces because it's easier to record you know, to record the footage later. So yeah, I just do everything fragmented. Also, it's easy to replace a part if I made a mistake or if I said something wrong. So basically, this is the third time that I'm trying to record the E. So for the E, when you're in ranged mode on E and the enemy does not have hyper armor, what you do is you kind of grab your enemy with your claws. I can't say that word, but you know what I mean. I keep saying clots, like blood clots, but it's not clots, it's clots. You know, those of you that speak native English will understand and will know how to say it, and will probably make fun of me, but that's fine. But basically, you will throw your things at your enemy, and then you will grab them, and you will incapacitate them. They can't do anything while you're doing this, while the animation is going on, and you will drag them towards you, and then you will swing them in the air and then slam them back down. This is not a very useful ability. You know, you can use it for control, you can use it to buy time while you get your other your other abilities on cooldown. While you're waiting the cooldown, you can buy time. You can try to interrupt an ability like one of Ochako's abilities, you know, that can be interrupted, or endeavors. You can try to interrupt, but in general, it's not a very useful ability, right? The useful part of his ranged E is when the enemy has hyper armor. Okay, I can't really show you this on video because the dummy in the practice mode doesn't have hyper armor, and I'm not sure if I can give it to him, but I can find the option, so I can't show you this, but there's a picture in the guide, so I'm probably going to show you that while I talk about this. But basically, if the enemy has hyper armor, you just root them, right? You throw your thing at them and you root them in place. Okay, they can't move. But be very careful, this is not a stun, this is a root, and there's a difference, because when they're rooted, they can still attack and they can still use abilities, so be very careful. You don't want to root an endeavor and then be like, oh, well, now everything's fine, right? And then you get a fucking lance to the face, right? No, be very careful. I don't think you can root endeavor, actually. I don't think there's a PvE endeavor in the game, but you get what I mean. You get what I mean. This is like if you play Mineta, this is exactly like Mineta's balls. That sounded really bad, I'm sorry. But yeah, basically you root your enemy in place. This is useful for basically for co-op. It's very useful, especially with enemies like Forearms or the motorcycle guy, you know, that like to run around a lot. You can root them in place with this ability, and so that they can't move, and so your team can just, you know, fall on them and just throw everything they have at them while they can't move. But be very careful again, because they can still attack, so careful about that. Be very careful. Don't get too cocky. And so then we have his melee E, which is called Charge Strike, and this is the complicated part. I'm gonna try to speak as slow as possible so that, you know, you can catch up. We're gonna cover this later when I talk about the combos, but I want to break it down now that, you know, we are on the ability itself. So basically, this is exactly like his melee W. It's a 3 combo attack, except that this one throws the enemy into the air, right? And also, if you land it's a 3-hit combo, and if you land the 3rd hit, you will switch from Q1 or Q2 to Q3. Okay, so I want you to pay attention now, because this is complex. Okay, basically, if you're in Q1 in Sneak, I told you that you can teleport behind your enemy by using an ability. So if you use W while you're in Sneak, you will, for some reason, you will use Caltrops, the ranged W, not Taijutsu. I don't know why. But if you use your E, while you're in Q1 in sneak, you will use your melee E. I don't know why they made it like that. It's very unnecessarily confusing, but that's how it is. I'm sorry, I didn't make the rules, I didn't make the game, but that's how they programmed it. So if you use your E while you're in sneak mode, right, in sneak stance, then you will teleport behind your enemy, you will throw them into the air, hopefully, and then you will do your 3-hit combo, and if you land the third one, you will be in Q3, okay? So you can go from Q1 to Q3 by doing that, okay? Then you can also go from Q2 to Q3 by basically being in ranged, not in range, I'm sorry, in basically being in melee, in the melee zone, right, in the melee ability zone, and then using your E on your enemy and landing the third hit, you will switch from Q2 to Q3. Right, and that's useful because your Q2, something that I forgot to mention when I talked about the Qs, is that your Q2 doesn't teleport you, but you do jump towards your enemy. You do like you do gap close towards your enemy. I'm trying to think of another character that does it, but I can't think of any right now. Yeah, no, I can't think of any character that does that right now, but I know that there are. But yeah, basically you with your Q2 you jump towards your enemy, right? And if they're close enough, you actually jump on top of them and you kind of stagger them, and then you can use your E and then throw them into the air, land the third hit, and now you're in Q3. Okay, we'll talk about this more when it comes to when we talk about the combos, but that's basically the gist of it. I'm sorry if it's complicated. AIZAWA, like I said before, AIZAWA is a very, very complex champion, very complex. Alright, and then we have his ultimate. His ultimate doesn't do anything special. It's basically like any other ultimate, it just does a ton of damage. I don't think there's any ultimate in the game that actually does anything different than just a bunch of damage. So yeah, there's nothing special. Let's just go to his quirk. And so there are two sides to his quirk too, because of course there are two. Of course, why not? Freaking AIZAWA, right? So basically for his quirk, so you're never gonna use the first half of his quirk ever. There's no reason to. It's not that good. I don't think I've never found any actual good use to it. The first part of his quirk is called Erasure, and basically what it does is if your technical bar, which is the bar at the bottom of the screen that every character has, if it's not filled and you use your quirk, basically the enemy can't attack you for 3 seconds. They can still do like the animations and stuff, but they won't affect you. It's kind of dumb. Like I've never actually found any good use to it for it. I don't even think it works on PvP. I've tried to use it on PvP, but I don't know. I don't think it's ever worked for me. I don't know if it's just because it's PvP. I'm not sure, honestly. But yeah, I don't know, it's a pretty useless ability, I don't like it. But the main reason why you're never going to use it is because the quirk on AIZAWA has a very, very long cooldown, and you definitely do not want to have your quirk on cooldown when your technical bar is filled. You do not. You want to be able to use your special whenever you have your bar filled. Why? You will see. Basically, okay, so the second side, or the second form of his quirk, is called Strangle, right? And basically you use it when your bar is filled and you go into this circle-like form. I don't know, I have no idea what to call it. It doesn't look like anything. You just go into this weird form, and then you just have to look for your enemy and land on top of them. And if you do, you will root them exactly like you would do with your ranged E on a hyper armor enemy, except this time it doesn't matter if they have hyper armor or not. You will always root them. You will get an attack buff, you know, for a few seconds while they're rooted, and also you will deal insane amounts of damage. Your quirk actually deals 3 or 4 times the amount of damage that your ultimate deals. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. It is ridiculous, especially if you have AIZAWA's chipset and if you have his talents properly, you know, properly leveled, I guess. It does just stupid amounts of damage. Stupid. It's ridiculous. Okay, so for his core gameplay, we have that Your biggest damage comes from your Q3 ambush. I told you that already, and that's because you can apply bleed on your 3rd and 5th hit, and also because your auto attack combo is actually a 6-hit combo and not a 3-hit combo. So definitely that's your most damaging stance. Doesn't mean that you want to be in ambush all the time. Quite the contrary, actually. So yeah, moving on. It takes 2 full auto attack chains in Q3 to fully charge your quirk. Okay, again, doesn't mean that you want to be in Q3 all the time. You will see that when we go to the combo, but yeah, basically it takes 2 full rotations of your Q3 to actually charge your technical bar. A lot of the time you will be just 1 hit away from it. Doesn't matter, start your rotation again, switch stances, it doesn't matter, you will get it on the 3rd rotation, it's all right. Okay, don't get too desperate, don't get too caught up on charging your technical bar so that you can use your quirk, because that's how you die. Okay, don't get caught up on that. But yeah, it takes 2 full auto attack chains if you land every single hit, only if you land every single hit. So moving on, then you have your quirk deals 3 to 4 times more damage than your ultimate, and there are many ways you can enhance this that damage, the quirk damage, to ridiculous extremes, like what I was telling you before, guys. There's a talent tree ability that makes it, I think it increases its damage by 30%, and then if the enemy has like less than 30% health, I think it increases your damage by 90% when you use your quirk. So it becomes a finisher, basically. It's ridiculous. And then your chipset also increases your quirk damage by a stupid amount. It's just stupid. It's so stupid. So yeah. Then we have that AIZAWA has a bleed mechanic that he can apply in many different ways. So these are the many ways in which you can attack your bleed, that you can stack bleed on your enemy. One is attacks from your Q3, like I said several times already. You can do it with your 3rd and 5th hit on your own Q3. Caltrops, when your enemy walks on your caltrops, you'll apply a stack of bleed. Counter attack, this is the counter attack from your Q2 stance. When someone tries to attack you, you dodge, right, and then you press your auto attack button so that you can do the counter attack, right, and you're invisible during that time, and you also apply bleeding. I think this is only if you have the talent tree ability for this. I'm pretty sure, and I think it applies 2 stacks of bleed. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that the counter attack on your Q2 has a 15-second cooldown, so be mindful of that. Okay, so now let's talk about the combos. I'm not gonna tell you about the regular combos, the combos that the game tells you about. You can, there's a very cool picture in the guide made by the admins of the official Discord. You can check that out. It's in the guide. Of course, all credit goes to the admins of the Discord for making that. It's a visual guide for how to make the standard combos, I guess you could call them. Also, if you want to see a visual demonstration, if you want to see those combos in action, you can check out my friend's Scene X-Rays video. He has all of the combos. He has them on video, so you can check those out if you want to see them in action. And basically, let's go to the optimal way to use AIZAWA. This is what you should always be aiming to do in your fights. You're most of the time, like 80% of the time, you're not actually going to be able to do exactly this step by step, and you're not gonna have it going perfectly, of course, right? But AIZAWA is a very, very flexible character. You can adapt to any situation. This is just basically what you should aim to be able to do, this is basically the ideal situation, right? But don't worry if you can't, achieve this every single time. It's not a big deal. But basically, you start the game on Q1 on sneak, right? And then you press range W, which will teleport you behind your enemy and will throw caltrops on the floor right under your enemy, right? And so now you're in Q2, right? You switch to Q2 because you used an ability while you were in Q1. So in Q2, you want to press Q immediately so that you switch to Q3. Basically, you just want to start your auto attack combo, right? And then you stop on the 3rd attack, which is when AIZAWA jumps back and throws knives. And then because when he does that, you will be in ranged distance, and when you're in ranged distance, you will press Q again to go back to Q1 to sneak, and now you're going to press E, and now this will teleport you, because you're in sneak, this will teleport you back to your enemy, right? And you will be in Q2 while you do your E combo, right? And then if you land the third hit on your E combo, you will now be on Q3, and then you will do the full auto attack, the 6 combo of auto attacks on Q3. Then as soon as you're done, AIZAWA will teleport a little bit far away from the enemy and just stand there, and then you switch again to Q1 to sneak, right? And press W again to teleport behind your enemy with the caltrops, and then instead of switching to Q3 immediately, you press E, and then you switch to E with then you switch to Q3 by using your E, right? That should be on cooldown by now, and but if it's not on cooldown, your E is still not on cooldown, then you can just press Q to hard swap to Q3 again, and then you do a full Q3 auto attack chain again. Then you press your Q1 again to go to sneak mode. It's important that you do this, because whenever you switch from ambush, if you have your talent trees properly leveled, if you switch from your ambush to another Q, basically you get an attack boost. So you definitely want to switch at this very point. When you finish your full auto attack chain on Q3, you want to switch to sneak first and then press your quirk. Don't press your quirk while you're still in Q3, because you will miss out on damage. So you switch to Q1 sneak, you use your quirk, you land on top of your enemy, you root them so they can't move, and then you ult them because they can't move, so they can't dodge your ultimate. Very, very, very complicated, very difficult, very complex stuff. I hope this is made more clear when you can see it on the screen. It's very difficult, but basically you start Q1, you do W, Q3, 3 auto attacks, then you go to Q1, E, until you're in Q3 again, then full auto attack chain, then you swap to Q1 again, W to throw caltrops, E to to land the third hit so that you can switch again to Q3, and then full auto attack chain again, then Q1, then quirk, then ultimate. I'm sorry, but that's just the way that this character is in all senses, so yeah. Alright, now for the miscellaneous stuff, we have my partner in crime here for the guides, YuYJ. He's going to be helping me out with the miscellaneous stuff. If you guys don't know, I say this every single guide, but he's the brain behind the operation. I'm just the pretty face presenting all of it. So let's just go through this real quick, because this video is already really long. So the first thing that you should keep in mind is that AIZAWA's rotation is fluid. Priority is going to be to use your W and E as soon as they come off CD, while maintaining the 90% attack buff and 15% crit from stance switching. And now I'm just gonna pass the microphone to my partner.
Thanks Jay. It's a pleasure being here, but yeah. So specifically when you switch from ambush stance, which is your Q3, into sneak stance, Q1, you will get a 5-second buff, which gives you 90% attack and 15% crit. And I mean, if you want to do damage, you probably want to keep this buff up as much as possible, which is why the rotation involves a lot of stance switching, and why I say that it's a fluid rotation, because sometimes like boss mechanics or whatever is going to happen and you're going to need to like dodge or do stuff, and you don't have to just force yourself to complete the rotation. You can just hard swap back to sneak and like go through and try to make your way to assault as fast as possible. So that is what I mean by by fluid rotation.
Awesome. And then for the next miscellaneous tip, we have that W caltrops does a lot more damage than Taijutsu. I did mention this before, but yeah, you have to try to focus on casting caltrops whenever possible.
Yeah, sometimes caltrops will miss, but for the majority of the time, casting caltrops with sneak will throw them directly on top of the enemy. And 3 caltrops just from the base damage alone. Like, so when you throw the caltrops, you throw a field of, it's like 6 or 7, I believe. But if only 3 of those hit, just the base damage is already out damaging Taijutsu. And each caltrop that hits also applies a stack of bleed, which is even more massive damage. Yeah, so caltrops is actually one of your strongest abilities to try to land. A small thing you can do is sometimes your assault stance normal attack will pull the enemy towards you, and you can actually position yourself to pull the enemy over your caltrop field, which will do a ton of damage, but, you know, isn't always possible. But just, you know, keep an eye out. Sometimes you can get it off and just do a burst of 100k for your caltrops crit.
Awesome. And so then for the third tip, we have that casting E while in Q1. Sneak stance will always use the melee version and letting you go from Q1 to Q3 almost instantly.
So, I mean, it's pretty much exactly what you said. I like to use that to skip through the second stance. It lets you swap from sneak stance to ambush stance extremely quickly, so you maintain your buff for the entirety of your ambush combo. That is pretty much the only thing I use it for. Sometimes you can use the ranged form of it to root a mobile boss to prep your quirk to hit, but it's very situational, and once you've played AIZAWA a little bit, you'll get the hang of it, and you'll be able to make your own decision on when to use which version of the skill.
Yeah, AIZAWA is a very, very practice and get better kind of champion. So yeah, and then for the last tip we had that it isn't bad to hard swap stances from Q2 to Q3 or from Q3 to Q1. These Qs are crazy, but never hard swap from Q1 to Q2, because doing any attack or ability besides ultimate while in Q1 will swap you to Q2 or Q3 if you use E. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I was just rambling and trying to put down all the miscellaneous stuff I had on AIZAWA down on paper at the time. But basically, your hard swap stance, so your Q is on a 1-second cooldown, and it also takes up an animation time. So during that time, you're not doing any damage, you're not doing anything, you're just kind of flicker for a little bit. So with the way the Q cooldown works, starting from sneak stance, doing any action will put you instantly into counter stance, which is Q2. If that action is E, once the last hit of your E lands, it will then put you directly into assault stance. But either way, performing any action puts you into counter stance, and then you can use your Q to put yourself into assault stance and do your combo, and by the time your combo is done, your Q cooldown is up, and it just smoothly flows into sneak. But if you hard swap from sneak stance to counter stance, it puts your Q on a 1-second cooldown, and you're stuck in counter stance for that full second. Your basic attacks are weak. You don't have any of the buffs or benefits from ambush stance. And it's not good. You're just stuck there, man. So yeah.
Alright, so yeah, one thing you do need to keep in mind when you're playing PvP with AIZAWA at least is that his Q cooldown is actually a lot longer. I think it's only like from Q2 to Q3, I think, or Q3 to Q2 or Q1, something like that. I know that one of them, I'll check later, but one of them is on a like 5-second cooldown. It's probably so that it's not that easy to be switching around in PvP, because otherwise you'll just always go into sneak, get invisible, and then slam your enemies all the time. So yeah, so do keep that in mind when you're playing PvP, because if you get used to the 1-second cooldown, you're gonna cry.
And that's why I don't PvP. All I do is cry when I PvP on AIZAWA. I don't know what I'm doing, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. Now that I was on the practice, that I was in the practice mode, I was using the Q, and I was like, why is it just 1 second? Like, what am I doing different? Like, when I'm on PvP, I know when I'm on PvP, it's always like 5 seconds. It takes forever. I just have to run around to the other side of the arena and wait and pray that my enemy doesn't get to me first. But yeah.
Yeah, the cooldowns are like adjusted in arena for overall balance, which is good. But it really throws off my rhythm because I'm used to playing him for boss race and all the other PvE stuff.
Alright, so yeah, so that's gonna be it for the miscellaneous part. Thank you so much for joining us on this guide. Hopefully we'll have you on all of the next ones that we make. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Jay.
Awesome. Okay, we'll see you on the next one then. Alright guys, and we're almost at the end now. Thank you so much if you've watched this far or listened this far. This is more like a podcast than an actual video, but thank you so much if you made it this far. We're just gonna go through the cards real quick because this video is super long already, and then we're just gonna go through the cards, the chips, and then we'll be finally done. So for his cards, obviously you will want his exclusive cards, right? So you have Tactical Master, that is basically going to it says Shota AIZAWA will plan ahead, depends on the enemy types. So it increases the damage dealt to the enemies with bleed by 36%. We already went through all the ways that you can apply bleed to your enemy. You know that it's very easy. So yeah, it increases it by 36%, which means that you'll deal so much damage. Basically, it's what it means. Because your enemies are always going to be bleeding just from your auto attacks, your call traps that they are built into your combos. So yeah, it's just ridiculous amounts of damage. Then we have a Razorhead, which basically it increases Shota AIZAWA's damage dealt by 36% altogether. This one is not conditional on the bleeding. This one just increases your damage altogether. Crazy stuff. Then we have Shigi. Shigi is going to give you, basically he's going to boost your auto attacks. Then we have a Call Shot. Call Shot is going to increase your crit rate. And so yeah, we're just going through them very quick. Then we have the 5-star cards, just gonna mention them. They're Combat Fist, Ectoplasm, Cellophane, and Mustard. Those are going to be the recommended 5-star cards for him. 4 stars are easy, like the usual. I will, guys, be uploading soon. I'm working right now on it. A card guide, a support card guide, because I've seen a lot of you asking for it. So of course, I will comply. Your wish is my command, guys. So yeah, I will have a support card guide soon this week. Okay, so look forward to that. And so let's just go to his chips very quick. So for his chips, basically you will want to prioritize any and all damage stats, mainly crit and penetration, but of course also you will want crit damage and also damage increase, anything like that, right? Any stat like that. So the chipset for AIZAWA, what it does is, it says after performing Strangle, which is this quirk, remember, there is a 20% chance of filling up the technical mechanism bar. So basically, after you use your quirk, there you have a 20% chance to be able to use it again as soon as it comes out of cooldown. And then when there is only one enemy present, damage of Strangle increases by 100%. 100%. This is what I was telling you guys. If you have AIZAWA fully set up, he is insane. So 100% for his quirk. Then when more than one enemy is present, damage increases by 20% instead. This is what I was telling you before, that AIZAWA is better on a 1v1 fight than actually, he's not really an AoE or crowd fighter kind of champion, like for example, I don't know, Endeavor, right? So or All Might maybe. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for the guide. I will be making the guide a little bigger. I will be increasing the amount of knowledge and tips that I put into them. I'm currently working with a bunch of awesome YouTubers that offered their help, so of course we're going to be collaborating. I'm going to be making these guides a lot bigger, a lot more in depth. So even though this one is already pretty in depth, I think it's going to end up at like 40 minutes. So thank you so much if you made it this far, guys. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, if you learned something. Leave a comment. Do you have any suggestions, any advice? Did I make any mistakes? I'm sure I made many. I said many things wrong. I'm so sorry if I did, or if I showed something wrong, I'm so sorry. So yeah, just anything that you can, you know, just offer in terms of advice or suggestions are very welcome. I always take them. I always change my guides according to your response, guys. So please do, and subscribe if you'd like more guides like this one. You already know that, you know, I like making this sort of guides. We already have a guide on Tokoyami, on Endeavor, now AIZAWA. I have a guide on chips, on talent trees. We have a support card coming, so look forward to all of that. Subscribe if you don't want to miss out, and I'll see you on the next one.